Has Nick Saban, whether it be this week or just during the time that Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin have entered the SEC, made any comments concerning just the brand of football that they both bring? I know that he has much to say about Lane Kiffin in regards to, of course, they had a relationship and a working relationship there at Alabama. But has Nick Saban, again, whether it be this week or last year's matchup or at any point, made any reference to his thoughts about the air raid and Mike Leach's approach and his coaching ability kind of from afar?
He actually, Mark, made some comments today during the SEC coaches teleconference, and he also made some comments on Monday just about how it's difficult repping for this type of team because on the defensive line, as much as Alabama's going to want to get pass rush and needs to, that ball is going to be coming out of Will Rogers' hands in 2 to 2.5 seconds. That's very, very hard to get to that quarterback when that ball is coming out. So more so for Bama's defensive front, it's going to have to be a lot of batted balls. Get your hands up in the passing lane, knock balls down. Maybe collapse the pocket a little bit from the inside, make it hard for him to step up and make throws. Just find different ways to make him uncomfortable because with that ball coming out quick, you're not going to be able to get the sacks that you would like to. And then after that, I know Saban mentioned that the defensive secondary in terms of being able to cover these guys, cover these receivers. They're going to want to throw the ball all over the field. Will Rogers averages 57 pass attempts per game. So that ball is coming out. It's coming out early. It's coming out often. It's coming out a lot. They will rarely run the football, and the only reason why they may try to run the ball is to test and see, can we get some yards here? If we're not going to get any yards here, fine. We go to what we do, which is sling the ball over the field and try to stress out Alabama's linebackers and try to stress out Alabama's defensive secondary. So Saban has talked about for the defensive line, get your hands up in those passing lanes, bat the ball down, and for the guys in the defensive secondary, be on guard, be on your technique, be able to reroute some of these guys on these pass patterns.
Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, breaking down the Tide each and every day on, touchdownalabama.com. Catch him on his show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time right here on YouTube. In my own words, Stephen, this is certainly something that I can't imagine is coming out of the player's mouth, certainly not out of Nick Saban's mouth, but you interact with the fans on a daily basis. I got to be thinking that they are making all sorts of comparisons between the Tide and those Georgia Bulldogs.
There's a lot of comparisons being made right now. I mean, there are a lot of fans of Alabama that are extremely concerned because they look over there at Georgia and at Kirby Smart, and they're seeing how not only is that defense shutting teams down and taking names and have multiple dudes on that defense that will get drafted in the first round of next year's venue, but now with the emergence of Stetson Bennett and Georgia now starting to find an offense under offensive coordinator Todd Monken, now the Tide fans are like, oh, okay, they got a defense. They've had a defense since Kirby got there, and now their offense is starting to do something like, we got to get ourselves together. Like, we're supporting the school where legends are made, but here's Kirby Smart over here looking like, old school, tough, physical, feared Alabama. Like, we got to get our act together. So there are a lot of Bama fans that are very much so concerned about this team, especially how does it respond this week against Mississippi State, coming off a loss to A&M, especially the young guys. Going back to the 2020, the guys that came in the 2020 class as freshmen, some of those guys never experienced a loss before. Some of those guys come from high schools where, Mark, they're winning state championships undefeated, national high school championships undefeated. They never knew what a loss was. And so then you come to Alabama in your first season last year and you go coast to coast, you win a national championship undefeated. So in your mind, you're thinking nobody can check us, nobody can run with us, nobody can compete with us. We have no friction, like nobody's standing in the way of us. And even though we may lose players to the NFL draft, we should be able to do the same thing, next year. So when you take that loss and it's your first loss, now it's as a young player, as a Will Anderson, as a Malachi Moore, as a Bryce Young, as other guys from that 2020 class, how do you respond from that? Because you've never lost before. So how do you respond from that? How do you shake yourself up? That's going to be the most interesting question this week.